In today's business world, being an average CEO is no longer an option. That's why we're committed to equipping you with the resources and the tactics necessary to not just survive, but to thrive. You're listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline podcast, where we are more than just a voice in the crowd.
Hi, everyone. Season 4, Episode 2, Not Your Average CEO Lifeline. Today is a topic that has been driving me nuts for the past couple weeks. Whether I'm stuck in an algorithm loop with my social media, it has been giving me huge red flags. So the topic today is mistakes people are making listening to influencers for business advice. We obviously all know they are everywhere, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, all of the above. So it's maybe not just influencers, but social media, right? You're seeing influencers, perhaps you're seeing ads that are associated with those influencers. And we're here to talk about what we're seeing and how to bring some light and truth to what they're saying and how not to fall for, I'm going to say scams, but they may not necessarily be scams. They may have a course, they may have a PDF to give you, but whether you're going to get any context or generate any revenue from what they're giving you. So what we're here to talk about today. So I will be writing a bunch of articles on this topic as well. So if you're interested in more after, please look there. And I'm always happy to talk to people about these things. Feel free to comment. But to kickstart us a little bit, Danielle and I were talking a few minutes before the podcast started recording about how it just spirals. It brings you down this rabbit hole of second guessing what you're doing in your business and where to find true advice. So the current landscape, and Danielle, I know you're going to agree, is that everyone online is an expert. And this advice is often taken out of context, overgeneralization. It's taken out of you are viewing them, right? Maybe based on the number of views, the number of followers that they have, that they are an expert. And that's not always the case. They can certainly pay for those views. They can certainly pay for the amount of followers they have. And they may just be good at marketing or tricking the algorithm so that you see it. So Danielle, what is your high level take on this? Topic as a whole, because it's something that is in our face all day, every day, the minute you pick up your phone.
I think the biggest thing is that people are falling for the hype, the hacks, the shortcuts, because they're shiny. They are promising success through a shorter path. It's promising that you'll have multiple homes and travel all the time and be on private jets. And that's just not the reality. Nicole and I have almost 20 years in this business now. And we've seen thousands of clients be successful over these years. And the one common denominator is that the success takes time. It takes having a strategy. It takes having a good support system. It does take patience. It doesn't happen overnight. And I would say you're not wrong for seeing those reels and those posts and being attracted to them and wondering, like, why can't I do that? And it's meant to do that. It's meant to give you a dopamine hit and think, well, I want to sign up for this course or this class or this program because I want to have this. But that's not the strategy. That's not what works. It's not the hard work and the grind of doing it. Nicole and I have done it the old-fashioned way, and it is definitely less shiny, but it is way more effective, and that's what really works. And I would advise people to think of it like that.
So I want to add, Danielle, that there are people out there that have retired at, say, 35, 32, 30, because they have invested. They have known how to make their money work for them. But as someone that has known people personally who have retired below the age of 35, the amount of work that they have put into that, the amount that they have sacrificed to do what they're doing is really important to know. So the people that I know that have retired under the age of, well, I'll just continue to say 35, they don't have a family. Their life has been their business. So when you're looking at these influencers, when you're looking at these ads, unless you are willing to sacrifice, right? But it's not, like Danielle said, it's not just this magic thing that happens where they're, guaranteeing you, I made $100,000 from one post in 1 week. There is a lot of hard work that goes into whatever you're desiring to get out of these influencer ads or things that you're seeing that is attracting you, right? There is hard work that goes behind it, no matter if it's laid out over a certain amount of years, whether it's crunched into a 5-year span. But there is always hard work and dedication that goes behind whatever your goal is. It's not, an instant fix. There's no instant hack. Even with, Danielle, we're talking about an upcoming training on AI and how to use AI in your business. There's no instant AI hack, at least none that I know in the practical small to medium-sized business world, that's going to completely automate your entire business, and you're going to take a 1 hour a day work time frame and make $1 million a year. What are your...
Yeah, I would say I have never in all of our years in business seen someone work 1 hour a day for a few months out of the year and make $1 million net. I've just never seen that happen. I will certainly be corrected if someone can point me out to that, but I have never seen that.
Yeah. And so we've had a couple of relatively larger influencers or people who have gone viral on our podcast as well. We've talked to them. There was no magic solution. There was not this, I took this magic course from this influencer and boop, my videos went viral. Here I am today and I'm not working. Like, that just doesn't happen. I guess it could be. There are few and far between, but I would love to talk to them and say, like, what work did you put in behind all of this? That now you're using these words or these messages to attract people even more. Danielle, I want to ask you, what's the worst business advice you've seen go viral?
Oh, I think that it's probably two things, if I may. Mm-hmm. One is that you have a corporate job and you can just quit today with no plan, and the universe will catch you. It will make up for it. I think that, leap and you will receive. People talk about that all the time. I don't think it's smart. So when I started my business all those years ago, I had just been laid off. And so it wasn't a choice. I didn't make a choice to quit my job and then start a business. I sort of had to make money. But at the time that I had got laid off, it was the very beginning of the Great Recession, and companies still had a little bit of money to play with. And so they gave our whole department 6 months of severance. So I was still getting paid for 6 months. And it was sort of an ideal situation because I had this safety net. So I would say, if you are in a corporate job and you want to quit to follow your entrepreneurial dreams, I would start small. Do it as a side hustle. Do it in your off hours. Don't quit your job without a solid plan, some cash, or some, sort of method to be bringing in revenue for you, and time to research the market and research your plan. That's not optional. So hearing that, like, you can quit your job and all of this will come to you, I don't think that is realistic. The second thing that I have heard over the years and read in many, many business books is one of those that, like, if you wake up early in the morning, everything is going to fall into place. Wake up at 5 a.m. And I know Nicole is an early bird.
Yeah.
So, I think that is something that has always irked me, because it's like, yes, you can wake up at 5 a.m. and maybe you have more hours in the day. But if that is not your zone and you're just like grumpy and you're not productive in the morning, like, don't do that. I think work with your own rhythm. We have like clients that I'll get emails from them like late at night. That's their rhythm. That's their genius zone. That's when they want to work. So that's another thing that it's personal for you. But it's something you don't have to listen to that kind of advice. It's more about just being in your own groove and what works for you. That's my runner-up, if you will.
Yeah, I like both. So I had a 4-month plan. I didn't have a 6-month plan when I met you. So I moved out of working in an office, traveling all across the tri-state, trains to Manhattan, taxis, subways. I was so tired of it. And working in a hostile environment that I had been in for quite some time. And I only had a 4-month plan, and it took a lot of hard work to find you, but it paid off clearly. And I would say, yes, I am up very early due to the nature of how my daughters sleep, but it does give me a kickstart to the day, but I loathe it. It's not something I like. And I do work late nights. So while I can keep up with it for a while, I do need my downtime. So knowing your limits is really important when you're thinking about those hacks, right? Because I could easily put out an ad that says, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning and I make X amount of figures and I work with X amount of companies and all of this jazz. Great. But what is the not so pretty side to it? You can burn out quickly, and you need to be aware of when you're burning out. And you need to know, even when Danielle had said like, well, you can start a side hustle. You need to know that you're going to be hustling, right? You're going to work sometimes 14-hour days, 16-hour days. There needs to be this drive and passion in you to do those things. It's not just some really shiny picture that you jump into and you're like, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock every morning. No one voluntarily, in my opinion, wants to wake up that early, especially if you're working until 10, 11 o'clock at night. You need to really be in it to win it. My worst advice that I've seen go viral recently is what really triggered this whole thing has been influencers who are saying you don't need a website, just use social media. It's probably the worst advice you can get. If they are saying this, just report and block or whatever you want to do to this person, this ad that you may be seeing, because if you are solely having your business on a social media platform, that's a third party. You don't own any of that. You have no rights to it. It can easily be hacked. It could easily go away. Everyone saw the panic that unfolded when TikTok was going to be taken away. And that's your livelihood. You need a domain. You need an internet presence. Whether if it's a full website or just a lead page, you need something. You can't just have your Instagram account and think this is going to make me millions. It is a terrible bet. And you want somewhere to drive your customers after they visit your Instagram page. You want somewhere for them to go. So that's been my worst advice that I've seen go viral. And I could talk about it for hours, but yeah.
And speaking of advice, Nicole, I think we were talking about this influencer advice, and we don't want to say that it's necessarily 100%. All of it is wrong. There might be some good nuggets in there. There might be some pieces that make sense for you. So how would you advise folks to tell if the influencer advice actually applies to them?
That's a great question. I would do my research first. Look at the quality of what they're producing. Look at reviews. Look at the price that they're charging as well. So I'm going to just say a course. I'm going to give this example. I'm looking at an influencer. They're giving advice and they're leading me to where? To a course. Not all of them are going to lead you to a course, but I would say that's general, or they're leading you to buy something. So too good to be true, likely it is too good to be true. If they're telling you sign up for my course and you'll make $20,000 a week, how? Ask questions. How am I going to make $20,000 a week? Likely they're just going to give you some business advice and tell you some steps to take, and then it's still on you, right? So if you're looking to know how to put a business together, if you're looking for those foundational things, then maybe that is for you. Maybe it's somewhere that you want to start. But I would go into it knowing that if it's really shiny, it probably is really shiny. There's no foundation behind it. And Danielle, you were talking a little bit earlier about ads, right? Mm-hmm. So do you want to give an example of a really shiny ad that we know for facts is not really as shiny as it seems to be?
Yes. So because we own a virtual assistant company, a lot of the content that we post is about hiring virtual assistants. And so therefore the algorithm will bring us ads about hiring virtual assistants. And so we'll see a lot of other companies in this space. And one that I saw was for a company that was advertising being able to get virtual assistants from Latin America. So our virtual assistants are all from the US. So that's what we advertised. This company was advertising that they were from Latin America. And there was a picture of this beautiful actress, Sofia Vergara, who was there. It was obviously an AI generated photo, but she was typing on a computer and she looked like she was working for a business. And so that was something that clearly she is not working as a virtual assistant for this company in Latin America for $5 an hour. That's just obviously not happening. However, it calls into question the integrity of some of these ads, especially the AI generated images, where someone that maybe isn't as astute or, necessarily paying attention is thinking, this is what I'm getting. That is not what you're getting. And so you have to have a healthy level of skepticism when you are viewing these ads, whether they're directed towards your business or just, personal influencer ad. Definitely don't believe everything that you see.
Yeah. And I would say to that point, it's getting harder and harder to tell what is AI generated and what is not. So they may even be advertising, even if this actress, right, is on their ads, that actress may not be affiliated with the business. You may say, well, obviously I know I'm not getting this actress to be my VA, but maybe you're thinking that she part owns it, or maybe she trains them, right? But that
she
may not be
authorizes them in some way.
Right, correct. Yeah. But AI generated, most of us all now know that you can just take an image of someone, make it live, right? So being very aware of what messaging they're trying to give you, it could just be falsified completely in nature. And it may be intentionally made to look like someone that is high profile to, they may not use the exact words of who is, influencing you. But having an image that looks like someone can also draw you in. So there are a lot of things out there that are really hitting us square in the face every day, that you pick up your phone or you're on social media and you're looking, even in the business world, say on LinkedIn. Video and AI is really intertwined at the moment, and ads are prevalent. So just be aware. Watch out for red flags. Any other last minute tidbits, Danielle, for our audience on what to look out for?
Yeah, I would just point out to that one, just to talk about the AI generated content. So for example, we could use AI to have a video of Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, for example, or the president of the United States promoting our business. And we could do that with AI. And he could say, Virtual Assistants USA is the greatest thing that I've ever had. And it's changed my life. And I use their virtual assistants, and Danielle and Nicole are fantastic. And the stuff, we could do that with AI. That's really scary. Nicole and I have never met either of those folks. We probably never will. They've never used Virtual Assist USA. They wouldn't know who the heck we are, but we could do AI to do that. And so I think it's just something to, stop and think, especially now when you're seeing ads, the likelihood that they are true, because that's something to watch out for. It's really quite scary if you think about it.
I think it's only going to get worse as AI improves.
Yeah.
So there, and this is part why we're doing a training series on it upcoming, because if you're falling behind now with how to use it on your day-to-day or how to recognize it, then you're going to fall behind even more in the next, say, 2 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're up to speed on, even if you don't want to use it, that you are aware of what it can do and what it looks like, what language, and it's going to start to evolve. It evolves already. There are AI tools out there now that make sales calls for you, right? So being aware of what that sounds like. I've listened to blogs turned into podcasts. So AI will take your written blog and turn it into a podcast with AI voices. Very, very hard to distinguish, in my opinion, until I was probably about 5 to 7 minutes in. Just something felt off to me. But I also knew that it was an AI podcast going into it. So I don't know, if I didn't know it was an AI podcast, that I wouldn't have been fooled. So bear that in mind too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that, Danielle?
I had it, but now that you told me, that's
now that I told you, yeah, it's possible. It's out there. I'll have to send you the link.
Yeah.
So you can listen to one. But yeah, even going in, I knew it was AI generated. It was shockingly
It's scary.
hard to, and I was like, I know this is AI generated, but I'm having a hard time picking up, right? And it took me a good while to realize, okay, something feels off, but I couldn't point it out. It just felt off. So yeah. Be weary of these things that you are listening to and advice that you're getting in general. Whether it's influencers, whether it is through ads or even through business coaches, really vet the information that you're absorbing for your business and what you're actually putting into play with goals in mind.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's really, really important.
Anything else?
I think for a sort of a last question, if we can talk a little bit about how you can evaluate advice. So we talked about, knowing that it's not all true, but what kinds of questions could someone ask themselves to understand if something is legit or not?
I would say, well, I talked a little earlier about like doing your research, right? Mm-hmm. So head it front on, right? Mm-hmm. If you're looking to go do something, inquire. There should be a contact form, right? If there's not a contact form, if there's no way for you to talk to this person, jump ship now.
Yes.
Right? What would you say?
True. I think looking at who's giving it, what experience and track record do you have from them other than just seeing a reel of them on Instagram? I saw something on TikTok recently that someone had owned like a beautiful Airbnb property, and they had an influencer rent the Airbnb to pretend that it was like their house and like, look at my beautiful pool and my landscaping and all this. So even if you're looking at it and you're like, this person is saying this is their house and look at this, $5 million home, that might not be legit. So, do your research, look at their track record, look at their experience. Is it someone that you've heard of for the last 10 or 20 years? And now you're like, okay, I should work with so-and-so. Or is this someone that just popped on an ad? Because again, Nicole said, you can go on websites like Fiverr and Upwork and you can buy 5 million views for your video. It's not that expensive. So that can be, false positives basically. And I think, would this advice hold up? Like, is this scalable? Is it sustainable? Is this just going to burn me out? Like, use your head with that. And then finally, I would say, am I looking at this influencer to solve like an actual problem that I've had in my business and that I've thought about for a while? So have I struggled with making sales, having a CRM, having a process for lead generation? Have I actually struggled with that? Or is this something that I've been doing fine with? I just have been influenced by this video and I just kind of want to scratch this itch. And it's a problem that I was like, oh, I didn't know I had this, but this sounds great. So think about that. Like, is it something that is actually a problem? Have you been talking to your partner and your friends about it and saying like, oh, if I could just fix this one thing? Or are you just being influenced, so to speak?
I think that's a great way to end. So to wrap us up, don't be hooked just because someone has a mic. Really dive into their history, their story, their messaging, and how it's going to resonate with you. And what plan is this going to put in place to move your needle forward towards your goals?
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Not